So conversion reports is our last section, and it's my favorite because it's where, from a conceptual standpoint, I've already kind of alluded to some of the principles that we use. We can get into more examples and talk more about what makes the most sense for everybody. So this should look familiar. You guys can probably tell this is like one of my favorite views. Again, it's just to get there. We've got some time, so I'm just gonna back out and show you guys how to get to one of my favorite views. So this is what it's gonna look like when you log in. And I always go to acquisition all traffic. That's what everybody wants to know about. How do I get more web traffic? What's my web traffic doing? It's all what everybody cares about. So then I go to channels, and that's this view that I've been showing you guys like almost every other slide. So at the top level, it's going to be your categories, with like everything aggregated underneath them. So again, paid search is going to have all of your different paid search channels. Social is going to have all of your social channels, etc. And then what this section is about in the conversion section is these columns here, these three columns, which is your conversion rate, your number of conversions, and then your revenue number. And again, you might not always have a revenue, it might be 0. There's a conversion section, but then there's data fed in to the acquisition section from conversions. So what I wanted to show you guys is goals. Each view will allow you to have up to 20 goals. This is where I highly recommend you think through. So January Moon, like there's the ability to purchase a product, but there's also are new moms or people getting gifts for new moms, like are they always going to go and buy something right away? That's never the case for any website. So what are the things that could happen? They could view, again, more than the amount of, the 2 goals that I recommend everybody set up are that you set up a goal that doubles your average time on site and doubles your average pages per session, because that indicates that's a quality web user. So then Jenny, like if you guys were running any kind of campaign or even just posting organically to different social outlets, you can go into your social and under your the view that I just showed you guys, the acquisition all traffic view, and you can drill down, click into any of these, and then sort it by the goal, which would be like this. These are the 2 examples of those goals. In this case of this website is 6 or more page views per session or 6 minutes or more on site. Those are just double the site averages. So then you can be like, well, not everyone's going to purchase right away, so I don't just need to look at the e-commerce number, but I can see that in the last couple of weeks, we've gotten, like from these social posts, we've gotten actually more, like a lot of people that are doubling their site average. Like that indicates that maybe next week they're going to make a purchase. So we should keep doing these types of efforts. Is why I think those goals are extremely important to set up. So, well, we have an exercise in here to set up the goal, so don't worry about that. Let's see. So again, I want to show you guys campaigns because we have an exercise to set up when you post a link anywhere on the web, and if you ever send links to partners that are going to post on the web for you, I would recommend you use this Google URL builder tool that I'll show you. Bailey's used quite a bit. That gives you, so when you use that tool, that gives you the ability to name a campaign. So that's what this view is. And it also shows your, it'll show all of your campaigns, and you can combine them with your traffic sources, so you can compare any campaign that you've run against like how an advertising partnership is going for you as well. So that's this exercise, the URL builder tool. So you'll all get this URL, and it's also in the presentation. We always we'll send out the video and the downloadable presentation link, so all this will be in there. You can also Google campaign URL builder tool, and I think it's like number 2 or number 3. But what this is you kind of have to stay diligent with this, but it's a way of, so it's this link, and you paste in, so instead of just pasting datadriven.design/academy into like a social media post, what I should be doing is I should be pasting it in up here under website URL. Like, let's say our team runs a campaign promoting like our next upcoming classes. We could name it Facebook December 2017 campaign. I called it remarketing because I want to run this to people who have already been to datadriven.design in the past, so it's going to be a remarketing campaign. And I'm going to have a coupon code for $50, so I'm going to put coupon code 50 in it. This is what the URL is going to look like. So it just adds a parameter at the end of this URL, and then it names it for me so that what you saw here was like Pandora ads 2017, Meyer awareness, etc. Those were the names of the campaign that were put into this tool right here. So you can see exactly how that post did. And that's extremely important. You can also, for those of you worried about the details of this, you can convert this to a short URL too. So you can convert it and it'll do the exact same thing. So if you want to put it in a tweet or a Facebook post.
Where are you using the URL?
So what I did was, in Google Analytics, there's something called campaigns.
Right.
The way to actually make that feature work is to use this tool. That's their campaign. It's based around putting a link on the web anywhere. So this tool allows you to just basically name a campaign whatever you want it, but without having, like, you know how you would always see like billboards with I don't know, mtsu.edu or mtsu.edu/fall 2017 or whatever. Like, that was because if that's a smart marketing person, they're doing that because then they want to track how well that billboard did.
Right.
So that's kind of the equivalent of this without really having to do all these different URLs to all these different pages. It's just using this tool that'll just basically name it for you. So you still just have the one page.
So it's naming your web page that during a campaign?
It's naming how it shows up in Google Analytics. It's solely for the purpose of tracking it in Google Analytics. The advantage of doing this is that the old way, you would have to build out all these different web URLs with the same content on them. This way, you just have one web page. You're going to run it on all these different. So you might have TripAdvisor. Let's use George Jones as an example. You might have TripAdvisor. You might have Yelp. You might have just Facebook. So we would use this tool and name campaign source. Yelp for the Yelp. We'd give the Yelp people that one. We'd give them this. And it would take everybody to the same page, but then in Google Analytics, we'd be able to go back here and see, like these would be Yelp, TripAdvisor, and Facebook.
Would you use, like I use custom redirects within Pardot, which I send all my email campaigns on, so I would use the custom redirect within Google Analytics in order to be able to track the campaign properly?
That should work. Try it.
Right?
See what happens.
I'm just thinking I'm doing double then too, just to make sure that I've got both.
You might not need, so if you're already doing something like that, you might not need to double up because the point is just to know how well the campaign's doing. So if you have that information in Pardot and you're comfortable with just looking in Pardot and then looking in Google Analytics, you're probably okay. But you probably can try to take, what I would do, well, here's what I would do. I would use this tool first and then give Pardot that URL.
Okay.
That should work.
Because it's cleaner?
Because it'll show up in Google Analytics with this tool, and then it'll still get the user from Pardot to that page, and it'll show up in Pardot as the named, what you named it for Google Analytics.
That'd be nice. So start here and then go on the other.
Try that. Let me know if it works.
Okay.
If it doesn't, I'll poke around with it. So I really like that tool. It adds a little bit of time onto your process of being able. That's where I would create a spreadsheet for all of that, and we've done that in the past where we run if we're running things in multiple areas for clients. I have a Google sheet that's like, here's what we named this, here's what we named
Because
that.
I would be worried that I
Yeah.
named something, forgot, moved off of that campaign,
What did we
went to
name it?
something else, yeah.
Yeah, what did we name that? We need to stay consistent with it, all that, yeah.
So you
So
just
I
do
would-
an Excel spreadsheet on that?
Yeah. And that's just, I mean, that's the downfall of the free tool, but like, yeah, I mean, everything else is free and it works really well. So that's an example of where you would want to kind of create your own outside process for using is that that URL builder tool, because it's all manual. It's like, it's not going to remember. It's not going to tell you like, oh, actually you didn't name it Facebook space 2017. You named it Facebook 2000, little details like that. It won't be the end of the world, but all right. So my favorite thing, well, my next favorite thing before
You have
showing you
like 20
Yeah.
favorite things already.
is
And this doesn't change
I
my
don't
life
think
either, by the
favorite
way.
means what you think it means.
Everybody's like, this is gonna change my
it's my
life.
favorite in the
I'm
moment.
like, wow, that's.
The thing that's getting me most excited right in this second
Yeah.
is assisted conversions. So if you think of it like, I'm going to purchase something from Nike.com, but I'm going to click it from an email. I click from a paid search ad. I search like best sneakers of 2018. And I see Google Shopping, all these Google Shopping ads with the images on them, and I click the Google Shopping ad, and I go to the website, Nike.com, and I check out, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I leave, and then Nike cookies me, and I get a remarketing ad, and then I go in again. And then I'm on Facebook, and I see another Nike ad, and then I click that. And then I'm still not ready to buy the shoe, but then I get an email blast, and then I click through to the email blast, I almost buy the shoe. I go back a few days later, I'm like, wait, what was that? I don't remember Nike's website. Like, Nike? And then Nike.com shows up, and then I click on that, then I go buy the shoe. That's what assisted conversion paths are.
So it'll show you that whole.
It shows you the whole map of everything. So get ready for this. So this is, it'll take me in, here we go. So this is a website that runs all types of these different marketing campaigns. So this is what their conversion paths look like. And I'm just gonna, this will take a second because there's a lot of data to load. But like right here, somebody came in through a paid search ad and then came back to the website 7 times by typing in the URL and then made a purchase for $217. So the reason why this is important is because in the view I was showing you earlier, where you see paid search and Google cost per click and all that, and then the revenue number, that's not giving credit to that. That's giving credit to that other view. So if my client's saying, how's paid search going? And I show them that one view, and then I walk out, they're like, well, that's
not
okay, but it's not right. This is more accurate to say, this is how they originally found you, so that should get some credit for a conversion. That's what an assisted conversion is. And then the top conversion path, I mean, the path to me is what's kind of cool, is like, they'll be like, oh, well, social media, that really hasn't done anything. Well, actually, Direct got credit for a social media conversion of $1,012. So then to aggregate all this and roll it up, there's a view called, so this is top conversion paths. It's fascinating to me. Assisted conversions is the view that shows you everything rolled up together. So this is where you see, you don't have to do the math manually. You can just go to assisted conversions and see paid search, assisted conversion value, $296,000. Last click value, $151,000. So you obviously want to, report on that whole picture to yourself internally and to, if you're an agency, to the client. You don't really need to set up. There's tons of other things you can set up with this, but you don't even really need to set up that. That right there is far more than what I see most marketers out there doing. I mean, there's a lot of people that are probably doing more, but for the most part, this is going to get you pretty far. So everything I've showed you so far is just in Google Analytics. I haven't had to do anything to set this up. The things that I'm about to show you and that I've talked a little bit about are things that you have to set up, and that would be, so the exercise that I want to do is just setting up a goal, and we're supposed to end at 3:30, right? Is that what we said?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to be great on time. So to set up a goal, you go into your view, because goals are going to be on a per view basis. So we'll do that real quick. This is my favorite thing. Just kidding.
Sounds like my son.
The next song you alter and rap to needs to be "These are a few of my favorite things." Just let it go.
I like that. There's a clue on what the next rap song will be at the end of this presentation. But that's a good idea. So to set up a goal,
You can dry some curtains. It's gonna be beautiful.
we're going to go back to our admin. So whatever we were on, you can just go over here and go to admin, and then that gets you back to this view. And then we'll set it up under our test view just for fun. Goals, add new goal. And the two goals that I mentioned earlier are going to be, we're just going to do those. We're going to do, it's going to be under custom, continue. And then it gives you destination, duration, event, pages per session. So I'm going to call this form submission. We'll just start at the bottom of the funnel. And then this is going to be a destination page from a form. So just for the sake of doing this, when you submit a form on the website, it's going to say thank you. So you're going to do destination equals thank you. That's going to be whatever the end of that URL is. So user submits your form, and then it sends that user to what I call a confirmation URL that can be named whatever you want it to be. And then this is where you can give it a value. So this is where you can put a value on a lead if you want. So like a value, could be $1,000. You can create a funnel for it, which allows you to type in other URLs on your website that people could potentially find it from, and then it'll give you a visualization of those pages. In this case, I'm just going to set up the goal because we don't really need the funnel on. And you click save, and then it'll be a form submission goal. Now this will show, once it starts to aggregate data the next day, it'll show under all of those views that I was showing you earlier, my favorite views and all that. It would be under, where I would go to look at it would be acquisition, all traffic, channels. And this is a different account, so it's not going to show it, but it would be under right here. It'd be one of these goals. So you would select it 4+ minutes on site, I'll select, so you can see. So then it's going to show you, here's how many people completed that goal, 481. Here's the conversion rate on that goal, and then the value, there wasn't a value put on that goal, this particular goal, but that's where it'll show up. So I would recommend doing that one, and then doing the other two that I talked about, which they could, you would want to look at I'm just gonna pretend that the average visitor is 2 minutes and 2 pages. So we would do 4 minutes, 4 or more minutes. Duration, and then greater than 4 minutes. And you can give it a value if you want, save the goal, and that's it. It starts recording data. Third goal would be 4 or more pages. That's it. That's setting up goals. Now, so again, the concept being, these are indicators that users would be, so I've got like bottom of my funnel, a lead for us, indicators that people are really interested in our content, aka quality web users versus just the person that comes in and either bounces or just spends the average amount of time there. Now I'm running all these Facebook campaigns for data-driven design. I'm doing stuff on Twitter, LinkedIn. We're trying to decide if we want to do Google AdWords. We start doing all this stuff, and then after the first month, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say, all right, which ones completed the most goals? And then I'm going to continue to make my decisions at the very, very basic level.
So what is the person responsible for the e-com site for J.Crew doing differently than this? That they're spending fortune on tools and
They're doing this type of exercise in this exact platform or a platform very similar to this at the highest level, and then and then if they're an analyst for the J.Crew team that's buying the media, they're drilling down into a lot of other factors like they have enough time and enough budget to be paying someone to drill into things like now we know that Facebook is driving X amount of conversions versus Pinterest. Facebook's outperforming, we're gonna put more money into Facebook, but then it's gonna be, well, what do we do with that money? So then that analyst is gonna, or that team of analysts is gonna be drilling down into the Facebook channel, and they're gonna be looking at things like, when we post between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m., or when we post this photo versus that photo, or this call to action, or when we have a logo over a photo or don't have a logo over a photo, is that which of those are now converting better? And then that's still at a very, very basic level. And they're going to continue to drill down and do more and more of those kinds of things if it's J.Crew. If it's a mid-sized level company, they're probably not necessarily going to be doing that. They might stop there, but they might not drill down more than that. Any other questions on anything that we've talked about before I talk about, the last thing I have to talk about is just integrations, which is, I didn't want to lead with integrations because I would have totally lost everybody. It's about just how do you get more data into Google Analytics for free? Because the way Google has architected their suite of tools, their suite of digital marketing tools, is they have AdWords, and they have AdSense, and they have webmaster tools, and they have analytics, and they're all these separate platforms. And like demographics and interest reports having to be enabled, you actually have to go in and link all of these other tools with Google Analytics to really get all of the extra data in there. Again, everything I showed you is all just there, with the exception of this, which you have to set up. Then integrations is next, and that's the key ones I'm just going to kind of breeze through because they're really easy. But any thoughts or questions? Okay, my next favorite thing of the moment. And actually, the reason why I like this is because it's kind of a differentiator for us. Because like a lot of times we can have an easy win by just saying, hey, here's more, like something that wasn't done or hasn't been done yet. We're gonna help you out, get it done for you. And it is pretty valuable. You're about to see pretty much how easy it is. So the main ones are Google AdWords, Google Webmasters. That's it. I threw Google Data Studio in here because I think it's sweet and I want to talk about it for 30 seconds. But Google AdWords, almost everyone is going to ask the question at some point, should we be running Google AdWords campaigns or should we continue running the Google AdWords campaigns that we're running? And so we want to make sure that the data is always linked with AdWords. The main reason, and that's just done under the property view, all products link AdWords. When you're logged into your AdWords account and you're logged into your Google Analytics account, which you probably should be at the same time, you won't be if you're me because I have 87 million different Google accounts, but most average people will just have one or two, so it should be as easy as you're logged into both, you click this button, it automatically does it for you. When you do that, AdWords gets your goal data and can run conversion optimized AdWords campaigns instead of click optimized campaigns. So you're running Google AdWords campaigns, you don't have that linked. You're gonna only have the option for Google's algorithm to try to get you more clicks. That's bad because it's basically just spending your money for you and having no utter disregard for whether that actually is going to generate a conversion on your website. That's the default thing with AdWords. When you have these goals enabled that we just did, that's why it's important to do just even those double your time on site, double your pages per visit goals. Then Google AdWords pulls in that data from analytics once it's linked, and it'll say, now you have the option to run AdWords campaigns that are more likely to get you double users that will have double the amount of time on your site or double the amount of pages, which is better than just paying for a click. Does that make sense? So that's a real important reason why to link AdWords with analytics. The other one is Google Webmasters. So that is basically SEO. It's probably 7 or 8 years ago, Google decided that we're not going to give Google Analytics users. You're not going to be able to go into Google Analytics and see the actual search terms that users use to find your website, unless they're not logged into Google. Let me think through that. So if users are logged into Google, we're going to hide that data under not provided. So that's why if you ever go into Google, and I didn't even show this to you because
Why
it's
do
kind of
they do
weird.
that?
They basically want, well, I think 2 reasons. They said the reason why they did it was to protect users' privacy. So if you're logged into Google, we're not going to show the data around what you searched for. Why they really did it is because they want people to buy more Google AdWords. Because Google AdWords will show you all that data because you're paying for it. The way to get around that is to link with Webmaster Tools, which is also called Search Console, as if it's not already confusing enough. Webmasters, that's the linking right here. Link Search Console, that's Webmasters. When you link that, you actually get the keyword data. So that was this. So when you link that under Search Console now, under Acquisition, under Queries, this is the actual data that users, so if this particular client said, all right, well, how are users finding us in organic searches? I can now show them this data. And I could say, so Cupcakes Near Me, you ranked number 1 117 times. Out of those 117 times, 6 users clicked. So that's the value out of doing that link. That's what I think the 2 most important integrations are. Google Data Studio gives you a different way to visualize the data, which kind of becomes like all the ways that we've visualized the data in here are probably enough ways to visualize the data. But Google Data Studio would be like Google Analytics' equivalent of what a CEO, like how a CEO would probably want to see like a really cool pie chart or bar graph of the same stuff that I just showed you. You can use Google Data Studio to put it into that format and actually make it an interactive thing where they can click on. Like you can create something that then they can use the date picker and they can. So it's Google Data Studio is a way of giving a particular group of people that you would be reporting to a really nice looking report with all the key stuff on it that they're going to want to see without having to say, because they're not like this would be a group of people that would never go into Google Analytics and look for this stuff. So that would be the purpose of Google Data Studio. That is it, my friends. And we've got some time left, so I wanted to try to make sure everybody got all of their questions answered, felt like they learned how to do a few core things in Google Analytics. Hopefully this is something that will get you guys wanting to check it out every month, maybe for 30 minutes every month and see what's going on with your website. There's a lot of value in there. And hopefully I showed you how to not go down the rabbit hole, just enough. Just go look at these core things. I would say to take away from today, I'll go back a slide. To take away from today, I would say go into each of these 4 sections every month, spend about 30 minutes, see what your top performing pages are and what your top performing marketing efforts are, and look at bounce rate. Look for outliers on the low side, outliers on the high side. Go back to those pages and see what is that page? What is it about this page that might be causing this high bounce rate? And then on the conversion side, look at things like your marketing channels that are bringing in traffic that's staying on your site for about 2 times the average visit duration or pages per visit. And don't always focus on the amount of leads or e-commerce data, because again, that's like bottom of the funnel stuff that doesn't always happen right away.